to be able to, it built that grit and that grind and that hustle in me, that street hustle in me to be able to go out there and figure things out. I saw this meme on social media that said everything is figure outable.
I love it. Yeah, Maria Ferraleo, I believe is
Yeah, I
the
don't
one who
know who
says
put it,
that.
but I saw it and I was like, yo, I like that. You know what I mean? Because it
Yeah.
is, it's true. Even with SMA, like we can't do certain things, but we can figure out how to, you know what I mean? There's so much creativity and so many advancements and so much technology and assistive devices that help us to do, to live the life that we all want to live, a decent life, a higher quality of life. And so, yeah, everything is figure outable, man. And once you can learn that, it just makes life a little easier because now your mind isn't always defaulting to the negativity that's happening around you and it's
Mhm.
focusing on being solution driven and problem solving, and it helps you build problem solving skills. That's another thing that SMA has that develops in a lot of us, if not all of us, is how to solve problems and,
Yeah,
and how to like be creative and how to do things that we can't do and figuring out ways to do it,
of course, of course. What do you think, like, was there things that you had to endure internally that people maybe around you didn't quite ever saw?
Yeah, man, absolutely. Self-doubt was definitely one of them.
Yeah.
I doubted myself constantly, all the time, doubting myself, doubting myself, doubting myself. And I think that's one of the things that people never saw. I never expressed that. And then also just um being depressed. I hit it very well also, like, but I was dealing with these emotions and these feelings inside that were horrible, bro. And I was like, I don't know why this is happening to me. I don't know why I have to go through this. Like, what did I do to deserve this? Like, I didn't, like, it wasn't like I did something bad and now karma's hitting me. I'm like, yo, I was born like this. I felt like I was never given a fair chance at life. And,
Yeah.
going down through all of these different thoughts and feelings. And but again, even going through those things, it helped develop me. It helped me to understand that we're not going to know everything, that happens to us in life. But, it goes back to, and it sounds cliche. I don't know, everybody uses it, but so I hate to even say it, but it goes back to that saying that says it's not what happens to you, it's how you handle what happens to you that matters,
I like
right?
that.
And so that's the icing on the cake right there. So it's not about, oh, you were born with SMA. It's about how are you going to handle living with SMA? Because the reality is that you have it. It's not going anywhere right now, anyhow. So how are you going to handle that? How are you going to live your life with that? How are you going to navigate that? How are you going to manage that? How are you going to let your mind still be positive and motivated and inspired living with that and going through that? And that's what I've been able to develop over the years and get really good at it.
Yeah, that's a it's very, very powerful to hear when someone undergoes, like you said, like, why did this happen to me? Why am I going through this? Like, what did I do to deserve this? And, when you really go down that rabbit hole and you're really going through, the spiral of, negative thoughts or self-doubt or discouragement or ashamed, whatever, it can really take us to dark places mentally. So it's very, I love how you talked about how you persevered and endured and what helped you overcome these different trials and tribulations and seasons of your life. Before you helped others, what were you personally trying to heal or figure out yourself?
Well, I'm just trying to figure out, I was just trying to figure out how I could, just continue living a life, at a level of decency and a quality that was acceptable to me. Because the way I was growing up wasn't acceptable to me, right? Like, I mean, we weren't poor, but we were like, I would say low middle class, my family. And we lived in the hood. Like we had a single family home, but it was in the middle of the hood. Like we were surrounded by projects,
Hmm.
which is the weirdest thing. But I did come from humble beginnings, you know what I'm saying? We didn't really go on a lot of vacations. We didn't take a lot of trips. We didn't do a whole lot of things, but I had a great childhood. I had siblings and we went to like the local boys and girls club, and we had a bunch of friends, neighborhood friends, school friends, family,
Yeah.
and so I had a lot of fun, but I was just basically trying to help myself to become the person that I thought I could never become.
Yeah. I love that. When you said you have siblings, during the beginning of everything that was going on with you, were any of your parents? Was like your mom or your dad like your caregiver at the time?
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, when I turned 22, that's when, well, actually before, a little bit before 22, like towards the end of my high school years, that's when things started to get difficult.